Championships are won by consistency, but when you have to try and claw back 100 points every single round between now and the end of the season, the questions start to be asked of certain drivers. Sparks is the one who has got the unenviable task of hunting down Kamikaze, but we have the battling here today to go through on the ovals for the first time. We find ourselves on 9000 Boulevard as we get ourselves set for Las Vegas Motor Speedway and the battleground on this 1.5 miles with very little braking required. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone watching the iRacing Creator Series. It's Jake Sperry, it's John Harris, as we get ourselves set and ready for racing action to commence. And it's amusing, it must be said that at this point, it's about holding yourself steady. This has been a summer shake-up which has seen one, I would say, very important driver shake up to the top.
At the moment, it's been going Kamikaze's way, but we go to the ovals, and that means a complete change in tempo, as you said. Change in driving style, change in tactics, change in just about everything to do with your driving in terms of, well, even pit road strategy, let's put it that way. So it's going to be a big change of confidence for the drivers, and I know for certain from talking with some drivers, especially at the top of the standings at the moment, they are not confident about this one or about next week. I have to add that.
Well, this is going to be the divisive factor. We've put drivers on road courses, which most of them are most comfortable and understand. When you take that away and put them on the ovals where it's turn left and pray, it can be a very different factor altogether. Let's talk, though, our calendar and where we've come from over the course of the season and to where we have got to here today. And the key here today is the fact that you've got the Indy 500, which will be cropping up on the horizon just 7 days from today. That is special event 3. There are no points for that in the championship. But when you've got Brands Hatch, you're looking for points, and then the Nürburgring looking for points. Right now, it's about making a statement. If you can pick up big points here, it is more than likely that Kamikaze is putting one hand on the trophy. This is a critical race today here at Vegas.
Sure, and the stakes are very, very high. The speed is incredibly, well, almost even higher than the stakes at this point. And I think really Kamikaze will have to push still in this race to get the job done, more than anything else really. But the thing is, we've got specialists in the mix now, and people that have over 6,000 iRating in the oval category, and that means that they will be gunning for top position above everything else. And that means that those that aren't familiar with the racing on ovals, they are put under considerable pressure. And we know at speeds like this, on courses like this, it can just mean one little millimetre too much to the inside or the outside, and it can ruin your day.
It absolutely can, and we have seen that so easily happen around here. It's a 4-turn, 1.5 mile circuit, but it is a true test of driving prowess because the speeds that you get around this place, John, are huge. You've got 20 degrees of banking in through the corners and 9 degrees of banking on the straight, which will indicate that high speeds are needed. Just a small lift from the 300 kilometers an hour that they pick up as they tip themselves over into corners. It does give me the reminder that I should be turning my settings over to Freedom Eagle units to say that we'll talk in miles an hour for this one today.
Got to do everything as per the books, as they say, and that's the good thing about the oval racing, is that it's such a highly coveted category in terms of just the notoriety, of the drivers, and indeed just the, well, as we see cars spinning off on the front straight there. It's such a different category, and I've been speaking to the European drivers that don't really drive much ovals. They're concerned about their shoulders and concerned about just having a bit of pain toward the end of the race because, you know, it's a different style, and you'll see some drivers even set up their sim rigs just to be comfortable in that one position turning left all the time.
100 laps worth of racing here today. So in theory, for this one. It's going to be a case of turning around and saying if it goes all perfectly clean to the end of racing, it should only take about 50 minutes. But when you get yourself a look, this is where the championship standings walk into today. Kamikaze in control and 306 clear to the good. They score points for qualifying. They will also score points in the race. But Kamikaze knows with that gap clawing on in, he can't afford rounds where he loses 100 points at a go. Sparks in second, and Aiden Pole, after the wheel failure right at the end of Road Atlanta, falls back into third on an island on his own. Strasner not here today, so Brendan Hyperstar and Matt 212 have a chance to jump themselves up into fourth and fifth. With Supreme not here, Ancephalosis and Aerotech have a really strong position to jump up. No Alex Gillen here today, down in 10th position, so he'll have a lot of work to do to hold that place. Drivers like Ryan L83 and Blueberry will be looking at the chances today, John, to move into that top 10.
Yeah, Elzindriani as well with a good chance here. I know she does a lot of oval racing, but yeah, there's so many people here. Not here today, indeed. Oh, that's a shame. I did not realize that. Last time I checked the list, they were tentative on doing it. But yeah, unfortunate that. But you know, it's got to be a highly confidence sort of affair when you sign up for these races, because if you stuck toward the back, you can easily just get yourself out of your comfort zone. And so it's all about sticking in the pack and learning from other drivers early on in the race if you don't have the knowledge to be at the front. So yeah, going to be a tactical one. And from speaking to the driver as well, the tactics, it's you know, they'll obviously have to stop during the race for fuel at least, but tires always a question mark, especially toward the end of the race if there's a caution.
It very much will do. The case of 0, 2 or 4 with iRacing running with the Gen 7s here today, the next gens as they are known in NASCAR. And so we've got the likes of the Ford Mustang, we've got the likes of the Chevrolet Camaro, and we've also got the Toyota Camry out there looking to try and prove what it's worth. Kamikaze out there trying to work. Nothing beats for Ryan L83 a Jet 2 holiday here today. He's going to hope that he can fly right now and prove that there is pace abundant. But in an open qualifying here for 15 minutes, this is actually going to be a tougher challenge than many people give credit for, because, John, you've got to find a drafting buddy.
Yes, indeed. That's going to be super tricky. And also, you've got to be on relatively the same pace as that drafting buddy. So you've got to just, well, have discussed it before the qualifying, because it's probably just chaos out there in the commentary chat that they have. So yeah, it's going to all be about confidence, all be about getting that perfect lap in, and just avoiding traffic if you can as well, because quite a few drivers will be pushing the limits, and it being a night race as well just adds to that jeopardy. Sometimes you just can't see the line as, well, you know, 99% good, but that 1% matters at these speeds. And as we've got the unsafety car on track as well, this time driven by TK. Indeed, we have two. The other one driven by Nick.
Well, you can't miss the 999, which will be out there, so we'll see how TK does. And then, of course, Nick Pakin will be in the other unsafety car. They do duties over the course of the season when circuits do have the unsafety car around to say, this is the pace level that I've got. Now, I'm keeping an eye as we go on board the nose of Ancephalosis to Blueberry, because Blueberry's the only one today who has decided to hire a spotter, and the spotter that Blueberry has decided to choose just so happens to be eNASCAR champion Parker White.
Well, that is a vote of confidence in terms of spotter, that's for sure. So they'll have all of the tricks and tactics in their ear. That's got to be a considerable advantage, especially when you're mid-pack trying to jostle for position. That is going to be an extra card up your sleeve.
Certainly will do. Matt 212, currently the fastest in qualifying on a 28.777 100th. There, the difference between Matt and Blueberry in second. Brendan Hyperstar currently in third, or was, as Ryan L83 vaults up to the top of the times with a 28.773 and goes 4 thousandths clear. There is Aiden Pole running a very lovely retro style livery. Kamikaze moves up then into fourth position. Pole remaining in P6 on the 28.8. But this is what happens when you get to oval qualifying. 1/10 of a second is the equivalent of 1 second.
Yes, indeed. And it just means that pushing that extra 0.1% just means you have to take risks. And unfortunately, we're seeing drivers, for example, like B-Roy, that have just gone a little bit over the limit for the moment. Got Brendan Hyperstar there, car 10, and they will be looking to perhaps add a victory to their tally here, because I think this is one of the best chances for them to get up there and get that victory. It's been quite an unlucky season for them so far. Quite a few incidents when they were fighting for the lead. A lovely drift in the Valvoline car, and that's Matt 212 rounds, though, onto the racing line and into the barrier.
Yeah, that was a very quick instant. Blueberry now fastest, 28.726. Absolutely motoring. And there is Aerotech out there, who's always in for a heap of fun, looking to go out there and prove the prowess out there in the O3. And it might be a day where timing becomes important, because we've got 16 here today. It's not a massive field, and that sometimes plays a little bit of dividends around a circuit like this, where it's maybe more considered as one where drafting is a lot more accessible than others. So I think that we're going to have a weaker draft here today, and that's going to play a little bit more of a factor in terms of where do you want to be on track.
Yeah, with 16 cars on track, it's going to be also a case of getting boxed in a little bit less as well. So the chances that if you find yourself, for example, pit strategy just dictates that you go to the back of the pack, you still have the opportunities to make up those positions. If there's more cars on the grid, it just means that sometimes you can just get boxed into a corner and then you lose the draft to the pack in front, and it just means you have to sit there waiting desperately for caution. So it should mean that also position changes should be a little bit more fluid than usual, although in oval racing they are quite fluid anyway, I must say.
The colours of I5G on the side of Brendan Hyperstar, who may be favourite next week when we head ourselves over to 16th Street and Georgetown Road. When it comes to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it will be a full 500 when we get to that, but Brendan working on the wheel here, trying to move up, and has gone quickest by half a hundredth of a second. Then a 28.676 says that is good enough at the moment, and this track will evolve as they put the running on. So 15 minutes, yes, we're in fixed weather conditions here at 6:15 in an October afternoon, so the lights are on here in the Vegas desert, the Nevada desert, but it will be a case of the track will migrate a little bit as the race goes on. So be careful about where that line will slick up, because if they run too much at the bottom, it might get tougher as the qualifying goes on to get those incredibly quick times, as TK moves to 11th position, Aidan Pohl now up to 5th.
Not often that you see an unsafety car overtake another driver, but we've seen it twice now on the broadcasting qualifying. And here you can see the result of the draft here a little bit, with Aidan Pohl just looking to get that maximum speed off of the last turn. Has to lift out of it, just getting bulked by the driver in front, and that's it, lap over, because you've literally got maybe a tenth of a second between third place and down to 10th place at the moment. So it's so tricky, and that lap from Brendan Hyperstar is incredible. Half a tenth might not sound like anything, but on a track like this, it is everything, and it is remarkable.
Yeah. A live look then into the dog box then with Blueberry, who is Sim Racing's fastest doggo out there at this point in time, and currently having a very good run of things in second position. So certainly proving that pace is there and the work that's being done. And that live look at the wheel, you can see how much the car naturally wants to turn itself over to the left. They set the car up deliberately to allow as much natural turn as possible.
They were fastest.
So you have to counter steer on the straights.
They were fastest. Will they go fastest? I don't think so. They hit the wall on the last turn. Sorry to have interrupted you there, Jake, but they were 7/10 of a second, according to the timing, up on their previous lap, and that was possibly a little bit mistiming there from the board, but they were definitely up on their time, and that was set up to be an incredible lap there, but just clouting the wall, and that means invalidation.
There's Chesnoy Gaming, currently 8th place, and that will move up to 7th on a 28.966. So a nice jump up for Chesnoy, who got the top 5 last time out, finding a way to make that happen. And everybody who's sitting around saying, how difficult is this qualifying session? Well, the moment that you put yourself out into open setup like this, or open qualifying, what you go to the natural tools to get quicker is a little bit of a bump draft. You can't bump draft here, because the moment that you bump draft, you get a 0x instant point and your lap time is invalidated.
Yeah, it's super technical. You've got to just trust the other driver, and it's just one of those things that, is it worth the risk? Maybe right toward the end of the qualifying session when you've extracted all that time out. And it's looking like at the moment the track is improving, because I'm seeing at least half of the drivers on a purple for them, which is at least, was that B-Roy around? No, it was not. It was Kamikaze. Yeah, green livery Kamikaze there. But yeah, very, very tricky, and just one little tap of the wall is enough to give you a huge amount of damage, and then these speeds, you just can't keep the car straight, even if it's just to finish the lap. And yeah, that is very tricky. B-Roy across the line. Will it be an improvement? I do not think so. He was 1/10 off of his lap for the moment. Still P14 for B-Roy.
Yep, so 14th currently, and trying very hard to run on up through the order and say, I can find a bit more out there. One of the drivers that you'd say would be looking to try and get as much as possible out of this style, but it might not be for B-Roy, and we'll have to maybe do some work from a bit further back as qualifying goes. The drivers that I want to keep focus on here, currently 8th position overall, Super Noodle Bagel, currently having a very good run of things at the moment in qualifying, has been a little bit absent down the order over the course of this season, but nice to see Super Noodle Bagel in the mid-pack. The other driver making, I believe, first start today, but it's down in the pit, Miguel Campo.
Very fast driver, and I think they're just struggling a little bit to get to grips with the high speeds here. But also Sparks down in P12, so not good for that title fight at the moment. Struggling quite a lot with the track, a 10th of a second, or even 2/10 of a second down. And yes, that's unfortunate, spinning off and currently facing backwards in the Mustang, so not ideal. They'll be able to tow to pit lane. They'll be able to get back out. Ryan L83 on their lap now with that lovely livery, I must say. But indeed, for Kamikaze, looking good, P6 at the moment. The other sort of surprise, I'd say, although it's not very much of a surprise, they're a fantastic driver, Matt 212 P4. I know that ovals are not their thing, but they are making it work, as they say.
Yeah, so it's certainly finding time out there and pace, and I'd say 4th position will get the job done as far as that goes. Down to 3 minutes left then in qualifying, and hoping that there will be any late changes. For example, Aerotech has moved to 9th position, and Cephalosis was in 9th, but now is in 10th place with the improvements that are there, and Aerotech currently pulling the car over to one side as well. So you're only going to get a couple good laps then on the tyres to go through. There's Nick Pakin, currently out there in the number 100 machine at the moment. That's the way we can tell between the unsafety cars, is the numbers. So Nick Pakin here really trying to get a good run going today after what was a very stellar drive, so to speak, when it came to Road Atlanta. So this is really a case of, can I go back-to-back on results? 11th right now, currently 3.5 of a second off the pace. Wouldn't necessarily put that together. A 29.3 on that last go-around, not quite what the doctor ordered.
So just to explain to viewers, they are actually racing in the event. They aren't acting as safety cars this time. So they will be hassling our drivers on track and for position, as well as one driver that needs to try and improve a little bit as well, Aidan Paul. But it's going to be so tricky. I mean, they're already on a 28.7, and that's not gone well indeed. Big collision there with another driver, and sadly that is going to be both of their sessions. And third one collected. That was TK, I think, collected first of all. But who was that just wiped out? And another driver wiping out. 5 drivers in a collision right now. That's incredible. Another 6.
That's Creator Series. No other way to
Believe
describe
it.
that. That's just Creator Series. They're being Creator Series as everyone trying to find a position. One of the things you have to be stationary in order to get the toe. And so being on track, unable to get it stationary, another hit. That's what makes open qualifying tough, because you've got to find a gap. If there's an instant out there, you've got to try and keep yourself away from those troubles. Kamikaze up in the wall with 1:13. So we're into final opportunities, or heading close towards that right now here, John. And so now it's a case of, are you able to find something that works? At the moment, drivers look like they haven't been able to find anything over the last 3 to 4 minutes.
What you want to know, the funny thing is that those collisions were actually our top 5. They were all simultaneously in the pits. They all ran into each other. So they've now got to get back out on track and hopefully secure a lap start before the checkered flag flies. But Aerotech trying to improve now. And as you said, it's now crunch time. They've got to find laps. And I'm seeing a lot of improvements, a lot of minuses on the timing board right now. But can they keep it? Matt in a good slipstream right there, a good toe into the back straight, and now just turn 3 and turn 4 left. Can they get it on the board? Having to go high side, hit the barrier. That will be invalidation, unfortunately, and for Matt it's going to be no higher than P4, at least for the moment.
Yep, so he's got one more attempt to get that over the line. Chesnoy Gaming's leading the train here, which has the likes of Sparks, which is now led actually by Miguel Campo. So there's a hit. 1, 2 go into the barriers there up on the top, and that's going to cause a whole heap of drama. You've got the likes of Nick Pakin, who's moved up to 9th position, and Cephalosis goes 6th. Then on a 28.8, and so the checker flag is now out, and so final chances to improve are in. Miguel Campo moves up 9th fastest, 28.892, but it looks like there isn't much of anything to try and make that happen. Maybe Blueberry has a late charge to go and get through and find a time to jump up, but it's looking pretty stationary up at the top. A 29.3 won't get the job done. Brendan Hyperstar, maybe no shocks to many, has got the car on pole position, but critically, it will be Blueberry alongside, looking to charge up into the top 10. And I would say, John, that is a qualifying with some expected results and some maybe not.
Yeah, for sure. Well, as you said, Brendan Hyperstar on that pole position, with Blueberry lining up alongside. Ryan L83, I'd say, is the start of the unexpected results in P3. But look at those times, less than 1/10 of a second. Matt 212, 1/10 behind pole in 4th. And Aidan Pole lining up 5th place, just a bit behind, and just emphasizing how close these results were. Ancephalosis P6, very good drive from them. Kamikaze P7, probably you'll be a bit disappointed by that one, with Chesnoid alongside, a good result from them. Miguel Campo in P9, so a top 10 start from them, with Super Noodle Bagel starting P10 and rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, so we've got 6 on behind that, and we got a chance then to have a little bit of a chat with Ryan L83, who is here with us. Ryan, you've taken the time there in qualifying. P3, it gives you a very good starting position inside of row 2. How critical is your start going to be, because you have the opportunity to try and sneak underneath Blueberry on the first start of the race?
Yeah, first off, hello to you two. It's good to see you as always. Yeah, it's going to be critical, because from what I've known with these cars and this track, it's going to be a tyre management race. It's going to be the key to the race. So if I can get ahead of Blueberry, it'll be good. But then it's going to be a hell of a task to beat Mr. Lichtenberg. I know his experience on ovals is going to be a massive factor for him in the race. For me, it's just going to be not ever driving this car before tonight. It's just going to be just maintaining the tyres as long as I can. Try and do a bit of an offset strategy. Unless a safety car comes out, of course, or a pace car, as Nascar would say. And just see how we get on. But for me, this is just going to be a nice experience to drive the NASCARs, because they're a hell of a lot of fun right now.
How difficult is it going to be just fighting in the pack? Because it's a different style of racing. You've got to keep the momentum. Do you have any strategies for that, or is it just going to be see how it goes in turn 1?
I mean, the issue we're all going to have is, if you're behind a car, the dirty air is not the best in these cars. So tyres are going to be factors. So you may see on the broadcast a lot of drivers going different lines to try and avoid the dirty air and just try and get as much grip as they can in the tyres to last as long as possible. But we'll just see how it goes. It's going to be a lot of fun for a lot of these guys tonight and girls as well. So we'll see, Mr. John. Yeah, let's see how we get on. And thankfully it's night, which will help massively for tyre track temp and air temp. So the tyres will still be bad, but not as bad as if it was in the day.
So my only question is, are you prepared for green flag pit stops if it comes to it?
Yes. Though I'm very, very, very cautious on my pit entries compared to some people I've seen already in practice before quali began, because black flags here are brutal with this pit entry, and if it's green flag as well, with all of us here, it's going to be carnage. So praying for safety car.
Praying
Pit
for
stops.
safety cars. We will play that game with Ryan L83. We will see how many cautions will be put into play today. Ryan L83 there joining us and bringing us into some great racing. John, we are moments away from 100 laps or an hour and 35 minutes, whichever of the two is going to come along first. And so that's going to bring a case of, right, how does this race going to be set? And I think the first 10 to 15 laps will set the tone of this race quite strongly. If this becomes a case that it divulges itself into caution after caution after caution, this is going to be a long night for many drivers. If this is going to be a case where they get a good run of green flag running, this might be a very good night for those who are looking to try and make the long run pace work.
For sure. I think it'll all depend on drivers' confidence. You know, if they have the confidence, they'll go for the moves. They'll be able to fight for position. But as soon as somebody gets a little bit uneasy, let's say, they might just make a slight miscalculation and then we get caution. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. I think probably the front four will be okay. They all have a plan. They all seem pretty hyped up, but we'll see.
We certainly will. Let's take a look at your starting grid for racing action here today. From the wonderful Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Brendan Hyperstar will be on the pole. Blueberry will be alongside on row number 1. Row 2, housing Ryan L83, who you heard earlier, and Matt 212 in the 2-1 car, as the 1-2 car will be piloted by Aidan Pohl, going from 5th, and Ancephalosis in position number 6. Your championship leader, Kamikaze, will start from 7th, and the menacing jaws there of Chesnoy Gaming will be going from 8th position. Your top 10 will be rounded out by Miguel Campo and Super Noodle Bagel, making up that 5th row of the grid. The first of 2 unsafety cars, Nick Pakin, will be in 11th, as Aerotech will go from 12th position. Sparks will start 13th, and they call him TK. He's there in 14th position. He'll have a lot of work to do. Your final row here of 16 drivers today will be housed with B-Roy and Killer Cleo, looking to try and prove the pace is there and is all worth the 4 lucky die, which are there on the Las Vegas finish strip that you've got there, going through an indication of fortunes for many. Who here, John, will strike lucky and who will find themselves going back to the cages looking for a rebuy?
I can guarantee you one thing, is that at least one incident will happen per driver. It's that kind of race, it's that kind of series. I do love these silhouette NASCARs, and they produce results in terms of racing. We're about to find that out. It's going to be hilarious, it's going to be glorious, and it's going to be exciting with all of the racing going on as we await the race start right now for the formation lap.
And they will take their position behind the iRacing Ford Mustang pace car out here today. So we're going fully old school with our pace car and running on around. Unfortunately, that is a look there from behind, getting a little bit of an understanding there. Looks like that the rear spoiler is up for this one to give the safety car a little bit of extra downforce here today, John, and so it can't quite get the best eyes forward on it.
Blistering speed here from the safety car. All of that downforce definitely needed. I mean, you know, otherwise the safety car would be flying off of the track right now. So, yeah, it's a strategic choice. Probably, you know, not fuel saving, that's for sure. And I think for all of our drivers, they'll be definitely trying to get the wings down to the minimum. don't suggest that they break the rear spoiler, because it does have a big effect around here. And that dirty air, you know, it's got a lot to do with aerodynamics. We'll have to wait and see whether the High Line actually has some pace around here. I have no idea. We're about to find out.
We certainly will do. The last race before a full Indy 500 for special event 3 of the calendar. Brendan Hyperstar then with control of the field as they round themselves through NASCAR turn number 4. Pace car is going to go for one more attempt. No, it's going to dive at the latest possible opportunity. Let's get ourselves set, because Creator Series green flag is in the air. We are underway. It's a stellar start at the front then from Brendan Hyperstar, and the trains will have to form. Blueberry on the outside trying to pull into line. Ryan L83 going down low side for a chance, but it's all about the drive off the exit of 4, which Blueberry just about has. 3 clear and the rest trying to form up.
Tell you what, Aerotech tried to get maneuvers done, but he's been kind of boxed in there in the back. And a tap there from Ryan into Blueberry. Blueberry on the High Line there, and it looks like there's no grip, no momentum left. It's going to get overtaken probably by Aiden Pole, and maybe Kamikaze, who's making up places as well. So Kamikaze on the charge right now on that inside line, and has overtaken Aiden Pole as well. So we got a 3-wide battle, especially for P3 right now. Those positions will change. It's important to note as well that the front 2 are getting away.
They are, and they're trying to form themselves up. So Brendan Hyperstar then 28.9, Ryan L83 29.1. They're in the 29.2s. They try and figure out what they've got. Now Blueberry will fall with Mac 212 there. A bit of side-by-side as well further back. Sparks then, and Aerotech will be looking around, and so too will the likes then of the unsafety car of Nick Bacon and Ancephalosis. So they are all there trying to figure out where they are. Now we get ourselves to single file and running in green flag conditions here. One car way off the back at the moment is Miguel Campo.
Yeah, unfortunate. An incident, I think, just happened off camera, so maybe just getting a little bit loose on one of the corners, or maybe tapped, but it's unfortunate for them. And oh, they did start from pits. Okay, fair enough. That's information we don't have here on the broadcast. But wow, through goes Super Noodle. Chesnoid Gaming getting a little bit loose there, and that means all momentum is lost. Thankfully, still have the draft there to Sparks to keep going. Although Sparks a little bit under pressure here, as Kamikaze P3 at the moment, so he needs to get a move on here. As we can see, oh, that's a clip of the wall by Aiden Pole. Not a good thing to do that this early in the race.
No, it certainly isn't, and so every little tap that you get is going to affect the bodywork, and that will affect the downforce levels and the streamlinedness that you will see out of many of the machineries here today. So you can drive this with a little bit of a tap here and a tap there, but the moment you start going to suspension damage, you're not going to get much help. Taking a look then on the front with Blueberry, of course, with Parker White, who is there helping Blueberry out, just staying calm, getting into position and going, this is what I want to be all about. Aiden Pole there in 4th, Kamikaze in 3rd, a big scrub up against the turn 4 wall from Kamikaze.
Yeah, he's just pushing the limit. We know Kamikaze does that a lot, but you've got to be patient in here, and you've got to choose a line and stick with it. And I think Ryan is doing that really well at the moment. He's just trying to get that clean air and just have that unmitigated aerodynamic downforce at the front, and he's going a high line because Brendan Hyperstar is hogging the inside, and then he's going to do the switchback just at the end of the turn to carry that momentum. He might actually be going for the lead here. He will get alongside, and he probably will take the lead. There it is, confirmed, a lead take by Ryan L83, and that is the first lead change of the race.
It's a very good lead change, and it's one that will have a whole heap of smiles about as that pass gets itself comfortably put into position. I wonder whether that might be a little bit of fuel trying to be thought about as well here by Brendan Hyperstar to say, I'll settle back in the pack a little bit and I'll let someone else take some control at the front of this field. So there was a little sense of what could happen and what can be done in this race, but some time at the front and some laps led now for Ryan L83. Back in the pack we go as we go on board with Aerotech.
Yeah, you could see just on the approach to, I think that's turn 2, or turn 3, sorry, the speed was just scrubbing off, and the front tires were struggling to get that turn in with all of that wake air in front, and it's really low downforce scenario when you've got effectively 8 cars in front of you all on different lines, and he's just trying to get closer. You can see the distance between the cars visually getting closer and closer, and then you get into the turn, and now especially you just can't do anything, although looks like he's got a run on the unsafety car of Nick right now. Can he get up the inside? Looks like they're going for it. Aerotech making moves now. Oh, Nick shuts the door just very, very late there, but it is a legal move, and that means Aerotech has to stay put for the moment.
A little bit further up, Aiden Pole trying to eye up Kamikaze, and that will be for third. In towards 1 and 2 again, and Kamikaze will now have time on the high line trying to make something work. They'll leave each other enough room as they exit 2 and make their way over towards 3 and 4 here on lap 11, and there's a little bit of a push away against Kamikaze, and sneaking down the inside, there's a malfunction at the junction as Kamikaze takes the tap from Blueberry and says, one right back at you, Matt. 2 on 2. Now moving to the high line, and what a run from Ancephalosis, 3 wide, down in towards turn 1.
What an impressive drive for an Ancephalosis. Really confident. You can see it in the racing lines. And I must say, from Kamikaze and all the drivers around him, very well done, even though with a bit of argy-bargy there. They all kept it straight. They all kept it going full throttle, I guess. And that means that we still have green flag racing here. Blueberry getting challenged by Matt 2 on 2. Matt 2 on 2 up the inside now. Let's look at Ancephalosis, just reminding Kamikaze that, hey, I'm here. I could take your place. And the unsafety car of Nick as well is looking to get that outside line. Kamikaze choosing an outside line here, and I don't think it's working for them. They seem to be losing about a car length every single lap, and it's just not working to his favor in terms of pace. Look at that gap, by the way, behind, I think that is Aerotech there. Sparks getting dropped right now in P10.
When you don't have the draft around here, it will hurt, and he's going to be usurped by the next group of B-Roy, of the likes of TK and Chesnoy Gaming. So those 4 are going to have to start working together. Super Noodle Bagel has fallen back down the group, and so too is Killer Cleo, now at 16 seconds off of the overall. Ancephalosis now having probably the best seat, and a big tap to Kamikaze, who is getting bullied from pillar to post around here. Ancephalosis from the void, I would say, just about finding a way to get through. Kamikaze now to the back of this group, and they've got to be worried here because it might turn into a group of 5 and 4 if they're not careful.
Oh yeah, the unsafety car getting a bit unsafe on that one. I think just both of them going for the same bit of tarmac there. They wanted the inside line, and Kamikaze was just coming across as well, and it's 50-50 in those high-speed incidents, and Kamikaze was just lucky to keep it out of the wall. Very good driving, but now they're faced with the fact that they're also getting dropped, and so the unsafety car of Nick has to get a move on now, and they have to work together to hopefully find some sort of pace. Aerotech looks very confident now. It looks like they're just moving up the orders. I think that's Killer Cleo on the inside there with little problems, maybe a tap of the wall.
Well, not just one tap, that was 2 taps. Very lucky to not have the car go around, and because of that, just about escaped flipping the plane and saying that is going to be our first caution of the night here with 85 to go. They got to settle down, and Miguel Campo then seeing in front that there's another moment out there for Killer Cleo down there on the bottom, who jumps down into the pit and will get the penalties cleared out before going again. So it's focused there. There's a bit of 2 wide, a bit further back as they start pushing. So Sparks not wanting to yield here against B-Roy, and this is what drivers are going to have to start thinking about. Don't fight so hard. The less you fight, the more likely it is that you can trade with the slipstream to slingshot your way back towards the front.
Yeah, B-Roy has considerable pace on these ovals. Quite familiar with them, and so that just means that they might be able to close that gap. It's about 1.8 seconds, as you can see right now, and you can see it visually there as we do have another challenge for the lead. Brendan Hyperstar, after potentially, we think, maybe saving some fuel, he's now right back on the tail of Ryan LAT3, forcing Ryan to the inside. It looks like Brendan's going to go for the outside line. He's got so much experience right now that he can pick and choose, and he has all of those cards to play versus Ryan, who is a little bit less familiar with this format of racing, although he's demonstrating that you can do it even if you do not have all of those cards to play. I will say one of the biggest surprises for the moment, Chesnoid Gaming just going back through the pack, and maybe some damage on the car, and he just doesn't want to pit. But from a good qualifying, it's turning into a disaster of a race so far.
And speaking of which, that second group is disintegrating now. Encephalosis and Kamikaze are long off the back of this group, which now sets up to mean that the likes of Nick Pakin and Aerotech are keeping themselves in play with the top 5, and everybody else is starting to just extend out a little bit more and explore to the high line then from Blueberry, maybe to cool some engine temperatures out there, because the more that you start running behind, those oil temps, they are really going to rise, and now trying to work that high line to see if there's anything that works. Aiden Pole's got it scouted, but again, high line starts to be searched, and now you see Brendan Hyperstar saying, okay, well, if Blueberry can do it, my turn. Little tag of the wall from the pair.
Yeah, unfortunate tag of the wall there. That's something you really don't want to be doing. Also, one of the things to remember is that as the race progressively goes on, especially after the qualifying, there will be some dirty dust or marbles from the tyres getting up there, and so you've got to be really cautious about the grip, and you've got to just keep that in mind because you're closer to the wall up there. And we are seeing Aiden Pole being challenged, or challenging both of them, Blueberry and Aiden Pole challenging for that third place at the moment. It looks like Blueberry with the overspeed on the outside line, they'll be able to get past, and Matt 212 with that draft will maybe get past Aiden Pole, although he's challenging on the inside for the moment. Looks like the grip at the moment is very even. I'd say with maybe a slight advantage to the high line, as Brendan Hyperstar has gone through for the leads right there, using the same tactic.
Yep, so the changes have worked, and now a little drop down low to get out of the turbulences then from Blueberry as Rhino 83 explores the high line, and Brendan Hyperstar has to try and work on the top. 190 miles an hour into the corner, and ride the wall, Ryan, as you go on through, trying to get his inner Ross Chastain out, and it won't work. Going through 3 and 4, Blueberry picks a freebie up.
That may have been serious damage there. It was quite a lengthy clout of the wall, and there's little imperfections there. It's not 100% smooth, and it can easily knock your steering out of alignment, or indeed damage the bodywork. And as you said previously, the aerodynamics so crucial around here. You can see right now L83 tucked up behind Blueberry there, and just trying to get that speed back as they're challenged by Aiden Pole now. Maybe a little bit of lack of turning right there. I know that the drivers were talking about tire temperatures a lot, and we may be seeing that Ryan, having spent a lot of time just creating a hole in the airflow for everybody else to punch their way through, it's maybe got to them a little bit, and they may have to drop off a little to just cool everything down again, although it looks like their pace is quite worrying for the moment. We'll have to wait and see. While they're in the slipstream, doesn't really matter. If they're out in clean air, that's where they might suffer somehow.
Well, it's high to high, waiting for the clearance, and does get it, and a tag on the wall then in 5th position. Matt 212 looking to try and find a way past Aiden Pole, who is looking here in these nighttime conditions like he's got a mock-up car at the moment that would like a little bit of a 5-hour energy to give itself a little bit of pep in its step, but isn't quite managing to find what is necessary. Just about enough clearance there, almost turned across the nose. Matt 212 gets himself through, but Aiden Pole was very much in a case of that could have been a turnaround, a hook on the quarter panel.
That was basically slam the door shut and lock it twice right there. Incredible aggressive move, but just demonstrating the intent there. I'm here, I'm going to do what I want to do, and it's up to you to back off. And luckily for Matt 212, Aiden Pole had the sense of racecraft to back off there a little bit. And that's the thing, as you're sat maybe in P5, you can observe all of the other drivers' lines. You can see where they're weak, where there's a little bit of a lift going on here and there, or what they're struggling with in terms of the driving at the moment, whether it's tire temperatures or something else. And then you can just pick and choose your moment to strike. And for Matt 212, that was right then, right there, and he's having a go now. Ryan, who's forced up onto that outer line once again, but it just looks like that that toe is just enough to keep them in touch right now with Brendan Hyperstar.
And already a quarter of the way through this race. And the longer that this green flag running continues on, it's been, I would say, exemplary racing so far here in this one. They are going to be jumping about, thinking what more can they do. And a lot of these drivers right now are seeing this long running pace, thinking, you know, I could really do with a safety car here. I could really do with the pace car coming out, a first caution coming into play, but they're not getting one because they are driving fantastically at the moment.
I must admit, yeah, the lack of major incidents has really caught me off guard. I think I was expecting the drivers to be maybe a bit more aggressive, but they've all been sensible. They've been racing each other really respectfully and just taking intelligent decisions. The closest we got, actually, to a pace car coming out was that incident with Kamikaze, where he was about 30 degrees sideways, and I was expecting him to spear off into the wall any minute, and just his driving prowess saved us from a pace car right there. But definitely in terms of strategy as well, with maybe the tank of fuel being able to go about 50 laps, you know, you need to start questioning, do I, you know, if I've underfueled, I'm now in danger territory of maybe having to make a stop under full green, you know, racing conditions.
Well, it will be about who can manage what. So as they work it out, 70 laps to go, and now it's all about settling yourself into rhythms and saying, well, what can I find out there? Where is the opportunity that I can go and get the launch and the goal that's needed? Matt 212 on the back now of Ryan L83. You got Blueberry still very happy in second. You got Aidan Pole in fifth, and you got Nick Pakin in sixth. And Aerotech's the one who I think's been doing the most fantastic job here over the course of this stint, somehow still being able to hold onto the back of the leading six at the moment. Big look goes down low from Aidan Pole, and will get the clearance on Matt 212.
Just that overspeed into the corner, they were able to get the nose in, and I think Nick will do the same, although he doesn't have the speed to do it. Both Nick and Aerotech were 2 seconds down a few laps ago, so they've been doing the heavy lifting work of bringing themselves back up into here. Matt 212 goes a little bit wide and will have a little bit of a tag. Aidan Pole just recognizing it, just straightening the steering a little bit to steer out and avoiding any major things. But I think that's a case of the tires just giving out on the front.
Oh, he's in the side.
Tagged again. Incredible save right there. But Aidan Pole's lost all momentum right there. They're so lucky. I think Matt just overreaching with the tires once again. But incredible driving from Aidan Pole to keep that out of the barrier.
Now, that's what we call moving someone, and drivers will remember that. Aidan Pole getting moved there by Matt 212, so maybe expect a receipt later on in the race.
I will have to say that's probably not intentional from Matt. He's not an expert at oval racing, so it is a known tactic, but I think that was literally just overestimating the grip. But, you know, a little bit of argy-bargy goes a long way when fighting for track position. And with the drivers taking it so clean into the corners, you kind of have to force your way past at some point. And look at Aerotech just bringing his way back onto Nick in the unsafety car there. So it looks like Aerotech, after a start where they were kind of boxed in, they're finding their feet now. They're finding the confidence. And certainly no drifting going on today, or at least I hope not for Aerotech's sake. But they are definitely going, and oh, that is a caution called. Well, there you go. Drivers wanted it, and it has been called.
It has, so that's going to bring the field down in pace. So a competition caution has been put into play. 65 laps to go here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and this is going to be actually a really awkward position for a number of these drivers. Of course, Super Noodle Bagel and Killer Cleo will have to go around and get 3 lucky dogs over the course of this safety car period to get themselves back into control. But as everybody is practically itching to go into the pit, I don't think that's enough for them to get a full stint home. So it's going to be very close if they do. This might turn into a fuel-safe race.
Yeah, Kamikaze in the pits already, so that's a different strategy. I think most of them will peel off. There you go, everybody peeling off into pit road. So it's all going to be down to nailing that stop, and hopefully you don't overshoot your pit box, as we're going to have chaos in the pit lane. I think it was debris on the track was the reason why that caution was caused. Just a little bit of bodywork.
Everyone hates a debris caution.
Yeah, unfortunately, reality of racing, when you have such high aerodynamics, it does happen from time to time. And of course, race control very, very cautious throughout the caution, as always.
Yep, so now everybody will be getting fuel, getting tyres, getting the chance then to run themselves up into where they need to be, and we'll see how the race off of pit lane is going to make a change. Good jump off of the pits then from Brendan Hyperstar. It looks very similar. Matt 212's lost it.
I can't believe it, just lighting up the tyres, and he's stuck having to reverse, but he's got to wait for everybody to pass. That's going to put him all the way to the back. Just lit up the tyres, and just before they could do anything, oh, don't reverse. Just wait for everybody to go past. The damage has been done right there. But yeah, I think just trying to get out in front of Aiden Pole, and before they knew it, just the torque of the car rotated the tires, and that was the end of it. We'll hopefully get a replay here. So yeah, Matt just leaving at the same time, I think got spooked. Was there a tag there? No, I think it was just losing it. I think it may have been some contact.
Here might have just got his receipt back, and has done so in pretty much the toughest way possible. Getting off the exit then, had a launch, and I think there wasn't much in it, but it was just a tap by Aiden Pole. So the receipt given back is now going to put it in a place where suddenly there's going to be a little bit of I would say, tensions flaring about at this moment. All of this now means that because Kamikaze pitted in earlier than everybody else and was able to jump in on the throw of the caution, Kamikaze is now your leader.
And I think Matt has been given the grace of rejoining on the position he was at, which, you know, we'd love to see that. It is a creator race after
is that an end of line?
Or I'm not exactly sure what is going on here.
That's an end of line, because he entered a closed pit.
That's unfortunate for Kamikaze, is that. So Kamikaze dropping all the way down the order. So he thought it was a very good strategy, but maybe the rulebook not playing to his advantage.
So that will drop Kamikaze right down to the back of the pack. And so that will be very tough to deal with out there at the moment. So Brendan Hyperstar will now have control. Blueberry in second and Ryan L83 currently in third. Your biggest mover in the field from 12th to 4th right now is going to be Aerotech. So that a really good jump up to go and get that sorted. They line themselves up now too wide as they get themselves set and ready as late as possible, as we'll now get ourselves into place for the drop of the green flag, which now goes, and it's a good launch again by Brendan Hyperstar. Very late call from the stewards then up there in the box at race control to say we're back green and racing out into the likes of Las Vegas.
And I think that has caught Matt 2-on-2 out, so there's a distinct gap right there with Aiden Pole. I was going to say Aiden Pole probably the biggest mover at the moment with that escalation, if you want to take it literally, as you've got Kamikaze moving up the order, trying to gain all of those positions back. Overtake on Sparks, so that is crucial for the championship, but Sparks gets him back as B-Roy clouds Kamikaze to the inside there and forces him to back off. So a lot of cars just trying to get a clean restart here. It's been once again a clean race and clean lap one from the restart. So a lot of stuff going on. Aiden Pole getting overtaken by Nick there, and you can see them side by side right there, but losing a bit of ground as well. And it's very crucial at this stage of the race to keep in that slipstream, to keep the speed going, as especially your tires, well, on a new set anyway, you will have had that cooldown period. Oh, a little bit loose from Aiden Pole there, and indeed Miguel Campo hitting the barrier behind them.
Yep, so tagging the wall out of 4 is certainly not going to be what is required. So we could call that with 65 laps to go. I would say stage 1 complete of this race. Of course, a lot of NASCAR racing has the stage race implemented in. So at various points, they throw a competition caution and say stage complete. So effectively, stage 1 in the books.
Indeed, yeah, I do love the fact that we tried different formats in oval racing. It's a really exciting series to watch, as you can see on track right now, as Brendan Hyperstar still maintaining that lead, but the unsafety car here of Nick getting dropped a little bit and under pressure still from Miguel. They need to get into that slipstream, and Matt 2-on-2 pulling off to the inside will not help their cause for the moment. It's been a good restart from Matt, to be honest. I expected them to lose their head a little bit after that spin and after that tag just coming out of the pit lane, but tag there, and that was TK. That TK, yeah, getting a little bit loose, and B-Roy nearly following them into a spin.
Yeah, it's a case of you struggle off the exit, you get a car that's a little bit tight, Killer Cleo down into the pits again and struggling out there, and looks like we'll drop laps again out there in field. But you get a car that's maybe a little bit too loose for your liking. The rear will love to step out. A car that doesn't want to turn in through turn 4, for example, will be a bit too tight. So I think TK's got this a little bit too tight and is struggling to get the car to go on through. Aiden Paul now looking to try and figure out things now to get back to 7th against a fast-charging Miguel Campo, who, remember, started in the pits.
193 miles per hour. Just want to point that out. It's ridiculous speed racing, but that's why we love it. I mean, you know, drivers starting from pit lane, that is a difficult situation to find themselves in, but they've made good work of it, and they're just making up the positions with the confidence. So you've got to tip your hat to them at some stage. But for Aiden Paul, it's been a bit of a disappointment after that interesting move, escalatory move on Matt 212. They're just dropping back a little bit as the front 3 are sort of compacting here, with Blueberry looking like they might challenge for the race lead for the first time this race, as Aerotech is moving into the top 3 as well, with Ryan just behind.
Yep, so Aerotech trying to position. Ryan L83 has lost that position. He might need a little more to try and get himself up and gaining that place. Matt 212 in 5th. Nick Pakin has been quiet in 6th position. And then Miguel Campo and Aiden Paul are trying to work together to get back to the group. Kamikaze up to 9th. Ryan L83 now looking top side, and it's covered off then by Aerotech, holding that position stationary. Blueberry very happy to hold placement as this stands, but now down to the bottom, Matt 212 trying to get the launch through, and it looks like the low line is back in business again. It's in fashion.
Yeah, it certainly is indeed. Aerotech really aggressively defending that position. He's got the knowledge to do that. And Ryan getting a little bit loose on the outside, having to lose a bit of momentum. Matt 212 will eagerly take that opportunity up the inside, but the door will be slammed shut by Ryan, at least in anticipation. Maybe Matt will try the outside line this time. No, Matt going for the racing inside line. He does not know about the overcut round the outside, and that just forces Ryan wide. And then but the front 3, I think, have had a little bit of a tap or coming together there, as it's all compacted at the front. That means 6 cars right now for the race lead, and there is Nick on the inside with the unsafety car, the Texaco livery, if you want to know which car that is. Matt 212, the Valvoline livery, just getting booted down to P6 right now.
Yeah, and some pushes under the apron then on the front stretch to try and, I would say, short line the course as much as possible and try and get it to work. And it really starts to build up. Ryan L83 is starting to push up closer and say, this is what I can do. Everybody's now starting to work out. This is going to get condensed, and I don't think anybody truly wants to be on the front, as we are now looking to hit lap number 50 of this race. 51 full laps to go. Another little cloud to the wall by Ryan L83, and don't leave yourself exposed. Nick Pakin's trying to find a way through. We could push 3 wide off the exit here if Aerotech wants to go for it, but we'll decide to give a little bump over to Blueberry to continue the charge to attack. Ryan L83, power moves on the outside. A Jet 2 holiday for all.
Well, he certainly got a jet engine in that car, that's for sure. I think that tap of the barrier has improved his pace somewhat. So just modifying the geometry of the suspension there a little bit has done wonders. Look at him round the outside. He might actually take the lead here, as Brendan Hyperstar maybe saving a little fuel. And yeah, oh, he shuts the door though. Brendan Hyperstar going, you will go no further. And here comes Nick on the inside, the unsafety car for P3, maybe even P2. This might be 3 wide, not quite, maybe in the next corner, but it's all heating up as the front 6 are still pulling away. Aiden Pohl desperately trying to hold on in P7.
Well, it's 9 now at the front, with Kamikaze joining with Miguel Campo with Aiden Pohl. 3 wide for second. Aerotech down on the bottom. Nick Pakin in the middle. In the wall up top goes Ryan L83 for the second time in this race and figuring out where to go. Aerotech decides to go down low. Business, in the words of good old Jim Ross, has just picked up.
This is chaotic. Look at it with some 3 wides. Got Kamikaze. That was no Miguel Campo to the inside there with Kamikaze, just trying, I think, just playing it cautious and waiting for something to happen. He's in a prime spot to profit from anything going wrong, but at the back of the pack, you're also at risk of getting taken out if there is a collision. And I think with drivers getting a little bit worked up here with all of the overtakes going on, maybe we might see something happen. But Aiden Pohl around the outside now of Aerotech, moving their way up to P4, their best position in the race since that little incident with Matt 212, and Aerotech gets the door slammed shut on them this time. Ryan, after that charge for the lead, is a little bit behind as Nick Pagan goes for the lead, and we have a lead change. The unsafety car in the race lead right now.
It's not safe for anyone. Nick Bacon leads this field as he has done so on many occasions so far in this one. And Aiden Pohl and Aerotech, I'd say Aerotech and Matt 212 got themselves close in 5th and 6th position. But Nick Bacon will decide to try and lead out some time at the front as they still continue to get busy and try and find themselves with place and placements to go and jump up and gain a bit more. This is a tough moment as far as this race goes, and every single position is going to be close. Right up on the rear of the i5G machinery in front. Brendan Hyperstar realises behind him Ryan L83 is not going to sit by as it's Mustang versus Mustang. A look at Ryan now here along the front stretch.
And Cephalosis was in the barrier there, but on the exit of turn 2 last lap. And that's so unfortunate. They're dropping back. They've already lost half a second. It was a hefty clout of the barrier, and that means that they're just probably going to have to wait now for another caution to repair that car. But it's going to be painful, as indeed B-Roy having problems as well in the pit.
Turned.
Oh,
B-Roy
that
got
is
turned by
unfortunate.
Chesnoy Gaming, so that has thrown a little spanner in the works, but B-Roy was so quick into pits, we stay green, so not much that can be done. We'll take a look here on replay there. So that's the end of it that we've just caught, so we need to flick back a little bit further, but Chesnoy Gaming then will be a little bit red-faced as that one came to play. So we'll take a look. This is into 3 and 4, pushes down into 3. B-Roy's late down low, and it's a tiny tap, and it just completely unsettles the aero.
Yeah, just snaps on them, and obviously the aero gets underneath the car. There's no side skirts really on these cars, so once the air gets underneath, it just lifts up the car, and then you've got nothing. You've got no traction, no grip, and around you go. And once you're facing backwards, would you believe it, these cars aren't designed to go backwards aerodynamically, so then you get even less grip and you're in the barrier in any case. But I must say, professional from B-Roy, straight into the pits, and no need to throw a caution. Although, will there be a need to clear up any debris? It remains to be seen. We might take a few laps to see that, as Matt 212 up into P4, and Aiden Pohl and Matt 212 together once again. Hopefully no collision this time. They're ever so close. A little tap from Aiden Pohl, and that is, I think, a little bit of escalation or retribution, depending on your point of view.
Well, this will be about how much respect these drivers will give after the issues they both ran into. Blueberry's joining on the scene. Big hit into the wall behind. Then from Miguel Campo, who takes a massive shunt, with Aerotech trying to shoot for a gap that didn't quite go. And now Kamikaze is going to work down low. And the Norwegian here trying to get that drive out of 2, and will struggle to do so here at 41 laps to go at Las Vegas.
Yeah, Kamikaze not really making any inroads, but crucially, Sparks behind him also has lost a bit of ground. They were 0.5 of a second to P9 a few laps ago, but I think they've had a little bit of a mishap, and that's just curtailed all of their momentum. They were starting to get the slipstream, starting to get the tow, and that has ended now, so unfortunately not going their way. But yeah, Blueberry to P6 as well, and we're looking at their point of view right now. It's just not going well at the moment. I think maybe they're saving a little bit of fuel, a little bit of tyres in anticipation that maybe there might be a caution coming out. Ryan also a little bit off the pace here and dropping 0.5 of a second below the next car. That might mean that they start to lose that aerodynamic efficiency, and we might see a split up of the front pack, as Aiden Pohl in the wall as well. Not ideal.
Well, trying to get that turn, that rotation into the corner here, it is Nick Pakin, who is now pulled out to a 7/10 of a second gap at the front. Brendan Hyperstar being left behind, another half a second to Ryan L83, who's in the middle of the road here. And look at the drive that Matt 212 looks to try and pick up here to move on up into P3. This is a case of haves versus have-nots at this stage. Who's got tyre, who's not got tyre, who's got fuel, who's not got fuel. It's that sort of race that we're sitting in with at the moment.
Yeah, all of them taking approximately 14 seconds stop and new tyres on the car. So it should be quite even as we have Matt212 up the inside once again challenging for that third position. But they are losing time, a second behind Brendan Hyperstar now. So that gap really opening up. And Aidan Poll also trying to get into a mix three car battle now. Oh, a little bit of a tap there toward Ryan. Aidan Poll really playing it aggressive this race. He needs to be careful because drivers will start taking it out on him as well. So yeah, Ryan will not be happy with that one, that's for sure. But everyone survived once again. It's a miracle at this point.
Traffic as well up in front in the form of Killer Cleo, who should pull over to the top side of the circuit when you've got a two-wide battle. Look at how much Ryan struggles through the middle of the corner. I think he's burnt his tyres.
Yeah, certainly looks that way. Taking the high line a lot can just scrub those front tyres just that extra bit on entry. And it does look like they're struggling for turn-in now. So that's really unfortunate. Aerotech goes past, and that's Ryan all the way from the lead to P7 right now. But, you know, there's a lot of time to do it. If you can cool down the tyres, you can go at it again. And it looks like Kamikaze, they're just struggling to get any momentum right now as Killer Cleo gets out of the way. Very, very well done. But must be frustrating to go a lap down, that's for sure. Just the pace not there today, sadly. As, yeah, we've still got Aidan Poll and Blueberry challenging right now for that P4. But now Matt212 has a gap of 1 second to try and close up. And you can see visually the front two just pulling away as Brendan Hyperstar is well within that tow of the unsafety car of Nick Pagan.
Yep, so Nick has decided that he can't quite keep that pace, and Brendan is trying to leave Matt212 in the dust at 9/10 of a second. If it flicks over a second, well, you can kiss goodbye to the speed and the gap. So they've really got to try and figure this out. It's a tough, stretched out field at the moment here as Miguel Campo tries to work a way through. That's against Kamikaze, and Kamikaze in 8th and Sparks in 10th. Right now is an indication that Kamikaze is walking in towards the title with one hand on the title. Any point gain at this point from Kamikaze is huge.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially with the Rallycross coming up here. That'll be a strong one for him. But look, there's 33 to go, and that is a long way in this type of race, especially seeing as anything can happen on a split-second decision. And so for Kamikaze, you know, I think he'll always have that mindset of wanting to go for the race win, wanting to gain as many points as possible. We've seen it so many times this season already as Kamikaze gets past Ryan. So Ryan struggling almightily on those tyres. P8 now for Ryan. I don't think there's any saving those tyres unless there's a caution which will allow Ryan to get back in the mix. But it's an uphill battle at this stage, and perhaps just that lack of knowledge of how hard you can push these tyres, or indeed this car, is getting to him right now.
Well, oh, Miguel Campo in trouble and dropping a little bit of pace off of this group now. So I think that he's going to be someone who's now falling way down the order.
Damage.
This might be a decision that will need to be rectified by jumping into the pits here, slow around and dropping the places. What is going wrong here?
Well, they're carrying on. They haven't dived into the pits already, so maybe some sort of technical issue, something. It's very common to have an issue with the throttle, keeping it down so long it can either get stuck, or as soon as you lift off for any reason it gets stuck in that semi-off position. So it can happen, and they're dropping a consistent amount of time, hoping perhaps for a caution to come out, but nothing flown so far. I don't think there's any debris on track, so no need for it as they drop to P12. So the unsafety car of TK getting past as well. The 999 car, as we've got Aerotech still fighting with Aidan Poll for this P5 now, but they're getting dropped also.
Leader. I took an eye on Nick. He's just hit the wall, and that's brought them right back together at the front. So Brendan Hyperstar closes back into a couple tenths of a second. A tag for Nick Pakin at the front in the unsafety car, and now Matt212's on the back. 3 clear at the front.
This is the case of just experience in oval racing. Brendan Hyperstar knows it's a long race. You've got to keep the car alive for the last couple of laps, and if you've got all of that performance, if you've got an over fuel of the car in any way where you can keep it flat, it will pay off toward the end of the race. And these little bits of damage, these little bits of aero or suspension damage will add up and just, if nothing else, knock your confidence for when you need to go for that diving move to the insides to get that overtake done, or indeed hold it around the outside. And that might mean the difference at the end of the day is still some traffic they're coming across. I think that's Miguel still going slow. You can see visually the difference of pace right now, although they're much more up to speed. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but possibly still some damage, and they're just trying to keep it in the race at the moment.
Well, they didn't look like they had a tag of anything. It just looked like the car just decided it did not want to play ball, and it's down on pace here at the moment, and it settles back into line, trying to continue to maintain that speed. The gap is 3 at the front. There are 4 at the front if you want to include Blueberry in the mix. And then you've got Aiden Pole and Aerotech, who are 5th and 6th as they now look to bring themselves back through. It looks like pace has now been found here by Miguel Campo. So he's dropped the lap, but critically now looking to try and find that speed. And I think trying to run up close to the likes of Aerotech at this moment here. With 26 to go, there's the hit. Round they go, up into the wall. Aerotech and Miguel Campo. Caution comes out for it, and you had to feel that Miguel had a little bit of something to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, that looks a little bit like some, oh, do not do that, Aerotech, just drive reverse back and then go. But yeah, it looked like there was some sort of retribution there. It was a very big turn to the left from Miguel, and I'm not exactly sure what caused that or what the reason for that is, or it could also be just a small technical issue. It's difficult to say, don't want to say anything for sure at this stage, but it did look like it was entirely Miguel's fault right there, and that caution means that now it's time for pit strategy. What do they do? How many tires do they take? There's also somebody else around.
This is Kamikaze who's gone around and has 360'd it and is in the wall.
How did that happen? Under caution. I think it might have been a contact we're hearing with Blueberry.
They were trying to catch the safety car. Nobody knew where the pace car was, and everyone just piled in like lemmings jumping off the cliff.
Not ideal. The safety car is meant to be for safety purposes, but then again, with that huge rear spoiler on the back of the safety car, maybe they didn't see the light, so it is understandable from a certain point of view. But that is very unfortunate because it means that some drivers, especially the Kamikaze, they might have had to tow back to pits.
So with Miguel Campo, I would say that was a deliberate takeout of Aerotech there, but now everybody in. Here's the question, 25 laps to go, 2 tyres or 4?
Oh, 25 to go. I mean, at this stage, you want to take probably 4, don't you? You want that extra grip. It's a long race. If it was 5 to go, I'd say you take the 2, but let's see exactly what happens here. So Miguel goes a little bit deep. There's no contact whatsoever, but coming onto the start-finish line, there's still nothing to say, and then yeah, just as if they weren't there, just turns into them, and I'm not exactly sure that was on purpose, but it just looked that they were completely unaware.
I'm looking at it, everybody's pretty much taken 4 as they've looked to get off. So I don't see anyone who has gone and taken 2 tyres to get the jump. Sparks now really up the order. Aiden Pole just ahead of Ancephalosis. Rhino 83 missed his box as he came into the pits and really struggled. Miguel Campo will be able to get back out and going again, but there are a number of drivers who are down in the pits at the moment waiting for the tow truck to put them back in. Kamikaze is one of them. Super Noodle Bagel's just been able to get out, but you've got Killer Cleo down there and Chesnoy Gaming, all 3 of them waiting to get themselves a chance to get back out. Super Noodle Bagel, I think, was caught speeding on the exit or found themselves up on the line too quickly, so it has a penalty. That's just been cleared. 24 laps to go. This might take a little bit here to get everyone back on the lead lap.
You've got people like Kamikaze still in the pits after 2 minutes right there, repairing a lot of damage. I mean, I don't think there was any corner of that car that hadn't been tagged by a car or indeed by the wall. You've also got Chesnoid and Killer Cleo still in the pits. I'm surprised that Blueberry got away with that with so little damage. So let's see. This must be the incident with the safety car. So let's see exactly what happened. Blueberry's perspective here, as we're just driving around. I think the caution's already out at this stage. Not everybody going full pelt around here. But there, everybody's slowing, and then, oh, Blueberry just avoids Matt 212, and Kamikaze, I think, was just maybe looking at somebody else, and has just tagged Blueberry, but that wasn't the major damage. What happened after that?
No, it was just there.
So yeah, just
there was
off
the
my
spin,
camera.
it misses it, and then everyone goes through. That's where Chesnoid takes the tap. Chesnoid runs straight into the black as they go through, and I think Killer Cleo was late on the scene, and she ran into Kamikaze, and that's why Kamikaze, I think, was a little bit upset over some radio communications we weren't able to hear. So there's the spin, and so we just missed. Oh, there's the hit. Wow, that is a hefty shunt.
Both Chesnoid and Killer Cleo just pile driving into the side of Kamikaze there. Thankfully, I think it wasn't driver's side of that car, so Kamikaze getting away with that, but that was a serious one right there. Not what we want to see on the course, that's for sure, especially with the caution being out. You need to calm it down a little bit, and I think drivers may be getting a little bit frustrated with their pace and just wanting to try something new under caution, and it definitely didn't work out.
Yep, so there is still extending being done here after what is a very hefty safety car period, because, of course, a massive incident like that, John, in the canon of Creator Series of that, takes a long cleanup. We're just very thankful that it's not raining here in Las Vegas. There'll be no chance of rain, so we don't have to worry about Juan Pablo Montoya running into the jet dryers.
That is an elite reference right there. I'd completely forgotten about that, but there is one from the past, that's for sure. But all three cars of Kamikaze, Chesnoid, and Killer Cleo are taking 4-minute pit times to repair the damage to the car in its integrity. So they will have to probably catch a 3 or maybe 1 or 2 laps at the least. For the moment, so we'll have to wait and see whether they can get back on the lead lap. But yeah, that reference of Montoya, wow, now you've got my head thinking about that one. Good one, Jake.
Well, Kamikaze will get the wave around, and quite critically in terms of this, will now have the opportunity to sit on the back of the group, but now currently at that 1 lap down, and so is also going to be followed around by Killer Cleo, who's still got 4 laps, I believe, in this position to try and work back onto the leading lap here. Chesnoid Gaming as well. We'll take another look. So this is from a little bit further back. So everybody pushing on, looking to try and work themselves then towards turn 2. Nobody giving the call that the pace car's in turn 2. And so this is where Kamikaze has the first issues. B-Roy has jumped into the pits, by the way, and this is the case of drivers just trying to stay out of trouble and out of the way. And I think this was right on the call of the safety car. So there's probably another lap to go here in this, and it was a case of sit to the back and find a bit more. So didn't quite catch that, but ultimately it's Brendan Hyperstar, Nick Pakin, Matt 212, and Blueberry at top 4. Sparks in 5th has been given a huge reprieve for championship aspirations.
Yeah, they certainly have. B-Roy in the pits as well, so not ideal for B-Roy. Maybe forgetting to take some tyres or something. But yeah, for Miguel, it just looked like they lost drive. They lost power maybe from their throttle pedal, just having some sort of problem. But they looked to be about 75% throttle, which, you know, on any other course would be okay, as we see Chesnoid getting a lap given back to them. But yeah, it's a very bizarre incident right there. And I'm not even sure they've got that solved, as they're way back behind the safety car pack right now, as we see Killer Cleo going round as well, getting a lap back. So let's just look at the board. So Kamikaze is now on the lead lap. Chesnoid has 1 lap to catch up, and Killer Cleo has 2 laps to catch up. So hopefully we'll be able to get everybody back on the lead lap. We may even see them dart past the safety car, forgetting that they need to stop this lap, because it is quite addicting passing everybody in one fell swoop. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But for the moment, Brendan Hyperstar has to start thinking about how they can get away cleanly and maybe eke out a little bit of an advantage.
Well, Chesnoid's got 1. Killer Cleo over the radio, by the way, John, went, I didn't quite realise how many laps down I was. So is still trying to go around and has 2 to clear, as they now will pull at 1 to green now. So Killer Cleo, they will pull side by side, lights off on top of the pace car, which will mean we will be going back green with 19 laps to go. And it is worth noting, if a caution comes out between 5 and 2 laps to go, we will have, for the first time in Creator Series, if it does happen, Creator Series overtime.
That is a prospect to think of. Although it must be said the drivers have been so clean apart from that caution. So whether we see that or not, it remains to be seen. As I think, there's a lot of drivers still in this that can win it. There's a lot of drivers that now will have a renewed bout of confidence. I will say shout out to Killer Cleo as well for their just upbeatness and never letting it get to them and just keeping on pushing and attacking. Yeah. And that's what we love to see.
And we will see that as they get themselves set and ready. Killer Cleo will just get back on the lead lap at the 11th hour. And now as the pace car dives on left, Brendan Hyperstar, who has had control of the entire field, now brings into play green flag in the air, and we are back underway and racing here from Las Vegas. A great drive off of that from Brendan Hyperstar. Nick Pakin was a little slow up to speed. Blueberry to the outside, looking for third.
Tell you what, Sparks has got dropped as well, so that's an immediate problem for everyone behind him, including Kamikaze there, as they're jostling for position. Matt 212 got a little bit loose on that turn, a little bit too aggressive, and Blueberry, I think, just loosened up the steering a little bit just to give them a bit of extra room in case they got really wide. As, it looks like Nick is getting a little bit swarmed by Blueberry. He's got an overtake. B-Roy going down the inside of TK, so moves being made right there. It looks like Miguel's up to pace as well, which is good to see. Oh, B-Roy slamming the door. I think they actually got really close to the wall. Don't think that was planned, but this is now the aggressive driving that we will see with 18 to go.
It's a case of follow me. Big tag of the wall then by Nick Pakin. And so it's getting a little bit dicey in the middle as well, as now it's TK dropping the places. Miguel Campo jumps through and gains that one. B-Roy and Cephalosis, and then Aerotech is in that group right now. Second, third and fourth. Currently with 17 to go, figuring out where they want to be. And so now it's a case of how quickly do you want to make that push? Big high side looks are starting to bring themselves on in the middle. TK down on the low side.
Oh, TK wanted to shut the door there, but Miguel just had the overspeed to go round the outside cleanly. They have the pace. They're just out of position at the moment. Same for Kamikaze. Look at that. Just behind TK right there, looking to make a move. But Kamikaze hasn't been very aggressive, hasn't been very just the demonstrative pace driver that we've seen before in this series, and so maybe just playing a little bit of caution, trying to bag some points, but up the inside of TK, so a safe move done there from TK as he moves to try and get back into the top 10. Meanwhile, right there, Nick still defending from Blueberry, as Brendan cannot get that gap more than 5/10 of a second. The slipstream too great at the moment on these big straights for him to do anything about it. So now it's a case of who can keep these tires alive, who can keep a little bit extra in the tank to go for it on the last laps. These three chasing drivers will want to close in, and Sparks, crucially, has not closed that gap in fifth.
Well, this is a circuit where they said open wheel is too dangerous now to run around here because of the high speeds this mile and a half can bring together. Just take a look at what happened in 2011 with Dan Weldon, for example, to put that in. The Lionheart, who was so influential in IndyCar circles. But now, as they look to push, it's not going to be there out there in terms of effort for Blueberry. Just has to back off it here. Big hit in the wall for Matt 212.
Yeah, it didn't look like too much damage, but you never know. Aerodynamics are fine, but is the suspension okay? It's not the first time that we've seen Matt hit the wall. And I want to say also, one of the biggest losers of this restart is Ryan L83 back in P13. Just that pace, that confidence has dropped off. As we've got Argy Bargy here between Miguel and B-Roy. A lot of them just not happy. And behind them, Kamikaze is saying, hey guys, I need to actually finish this race. Can you not spin each other around? B-Roy slams the door. Miguel in the wall perhaps, as Miguel dives to the inside in retribution. Will we see it coming together? It looks like they're not going to budge, either of them. So far, so good in terms of cleanliness at the moment, but they're still tapping each other's doors, and this can only end in disaster, in my opinion, as Kamikaze looks to get in on the mix as well.
trying to figure out a way to get by the pair who have worked side by side for the last 3 laps. Miguel almost locked a fender out there with B-Roy, and that made life tough for the pair of them as they pretty much panel beat each other all the way down the back stretch there a few laps ago. They'll lean again as they go with 11 left in towards turns 1 and 2 once more on the back of Encephalosis. The drive coming up in the wall, they both go. B-Roy still holds.
Encephalosis doesn't want anything to do with this. He's running. He's trying to run away. There's not much he can do about it. They're all in his tow right now, and it's actually making the situation worse for B-Roy and Miguel because they want the clean air and they can't get it at the moment. Kamikaze really getting boxed in here. Kamikaze saying, hey, look guys, if you let me through, I promise I won't do anything and punt you off or anything, but they don't want to give him the position. They're all fighting for points at the end of the day. B-Roy, it was in the wall. Yeah, he was looking to go too wide there, and so Kamikaze will go through. That's probably quite a bit of damage on B-Roy. He's left the momentum right there, but that was a serious miscalculation from B-Roy, just taking too much speed onto the exit of that corner.
And all the while, it starts getting a little bit closer at the front. So it's not all said and done for Brendan Hyperstar, who leads this one now down to just 0.3 of a second over Nick Pakin, over Blueberry, over Matt 212, as it is now a bit of lap traffic in the form of Killer Cleo once again, as we're back here still in the moment, crossing the apron off the exit of 4 often, and the reason why is to try and get a couple hundreds and thousands on there as they go through. You can cross the apron, but not by much.
Yeah, Brendan Hyperstar, just want to point this out, is currently lapping slowest of the top 8 at the moment, at least according to the last 2 laps. So very tricky for them. Maybe just a drop off in terms of tire performance, or indeed just trying to save fuel. So who can tell apart from Brendan? That's going to be concerning though, going into these last 8 laps, because you want to have all of that performance. He's been leading for the majority of this race, and to give up a little bit of performance at the end here, the only thing that's keeping him from getting closed in at the moment is the fact that Blueberry is still battling with Nick for that P2, and that is just costing them, as you said, hundreds, which they're trying to get back on the inside. Tap of the wall on the back there. I think it was something with Chesnoid and B-Roy, perhaps. Ryan getting involved with it.
Big issue. B-Roy off. B-Roy's off. Yeah. Big issue and a hefty hit. That might be a safety car. It was huge with Killer Cleo out there with 7 laps to go. A caution does come out. It's late with 6 to go, but now it will bring only a couple laps into play left. Let's take a look.
Yes, so B-Roy, Killer Cleo goes very slow, and that forces everybody wide. Killer Cleo gets tapped into the wall. I think that was by Kamikaze, and then collects B-Roy. Can you believe it for B-Roy? That was just nothing he could do. A passenger, and not even any time to react. Like we saw in Monza, if somebody has an incident in front of you, there's nothing you can do, and around you go. Even if you try and brake, you get collected by a driver behind you. So that is unfortunate. And the actual safety car, the spoiler once again hiding the light, so drivers getting a bit confused right there, as we got Matt 212 to the inside as well. But yeah, drivers having to avoid the safety car, so I think Ford will be quite happy that the safety car has no damage on it.
I would say if you're at the back of the field, you've got a chance to throw 4 tyres on and really go for something with the last couple of laps worth of racing. If you're out there in the front, you know you've put another heat cycle through the tyres, and you've just got to try and hold and hope there's a good start that goes on through. B-Roy has left and retired from the session, so won't go any further. Super Noodle Bagel 1 lap down as well. So with Killer Cleo down in the pits, not much you can do about that. But Brendan Hyperstar's got 1 more restart within him to go through. But of course, remember, we could, if there's a very quick course that comes in, get to green-white checkers land. Nick Pakin is coming in for tyres.
That is a surprising move, a roll of the dice right there, and that is what you do in Las Vegas. That is one thing that I did not see, and Kamikaze as well coming in, as well as, I think that was TK. I missed the 4th car, but perhaps, Jake, you've got information on that. Looks like Ryan L83.
Yep, so Ryan L83 is in the pits, Nick Pakin in the pits, TK in the pits, Kamikaze in the pits. This will be for 4 tyres and to get a massive launch. Everyone else on the same tyres that they came in with 25 laps to go in this race. And now it is about a throw of the dice. Blueberry has got to be really switched on in the green zone to try and get the launch against Brendan Hyperstar. It's the biggest advantage you have. Matt 212 has also got to be very switched on the restart.
Yeah, for the moment, it's been more of a problem for Sparks actually in P5 at the moment. So I think everybody's switched on to the restarts. Although Brendan Hyperstar has been quite regular in those starts, so maybe he'll try something different. And there's nothing you can do in P2 to think about that. You've just got to react as best as you can. But with only a handful of laps to go, you need to have all of that slipstream. You need to be literally right under their rear bumper on the last lap to just draft past and make sure you slam the door shut and hopefully get that race victory. As we see Killer Cleo still having fun round the outside, overtaking the safety car and getting themselves back on the lead lap now. So that means with 4 to go, everybody on that lead lap. Maybe we might see the caution end on this
next lap. So this now here, John, it means we're going to have an artificial green-white checker.
And for our viewers at home, you might want to explain more about that.
So we're on lap 98 of 100 right now. We'll go to lap 99. The green flag will go on lap 99. The white will go at the end of lap 99, start of lap 100, and the checkered flag will go through. If there is a caution on lap 99 of this race, we will go to overtime and green-white checkers, where there will be 2 attempts to get a race sorted and underneath. They can't get it sorted, it will be under caution, and the race results will be declared. But here at this point, Brendan Hyperstar and Blueberry know they are in a real good position. It's all about who can hold themselves off. Brendan Hyperstar with all the oval experience, Blueberry with Parker White as the spotter. This is where it comes down to whose nerve is going to hold. Pace car rounding itself through 4 and will be looking to dive back off into pit. It's Brendan Hyperstar who will have the control at the drop of the green flag. And how alert are you going to be? Green flag waves and we're off again.
Brendan, really good restart there. I think Blueberry got caught out by that one. Matt 212 dropping a little bit back as well as Aiden Pole looks to go around the outside. Sparks getting dropped once again. Aerotech, though, looking to profit from that as Miguel gets a good run as well. But the unsafety car of Nick just losing a couple of positions on that restart, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's all getting close, and now they're starting to figure this one out as they go through. This one is going to go official. White flag, sponsored by nothing, as we get ourselves ready to go. And it's all about this 3 wide in the back, but Blueberry's trying everything to stay with Brendan Hyperstar, who has been simply faultless out there over the course of this race. Blueberry knows the gap there to Matt 212 to Aiden Pole is perfect. In through 3 and 4. Brendan Hyperstar is going to be unchallenged on that run. Big power run late. Tugs in the wall behind. Brendan Hyperstar takes it at Las Vegas. He finds himself with everything he wanted and more, and found himself with pocket aces all night long.
Pelosis deciding to tag Aerotech as everybody going off right now. I think Nick and the unsafety car ended on their roof on the infield there. So that was a chaotic finish right there, as I think we're about to see perspective from Kamikaze's point of view here at the back of the pack. So you can see Nick there just getting close to the cars in front. And that, I think, is... that's Ryan L83. Yes, it is indeed. Going on the infield, just not able to hold it and spinning all the way around, unfortunately, for that white flag. But not the end of the race, sadly, for them.
Here's a little look at what happened heading over towards the line. They were pushing hard then, and it was some very close quarter, what we call hard-nosed racing, going back out there, coming off the exit of 4. There was a wonderful amount of drive then late to try and get these positions. They tag and then over the line. Look at the push there of 3 wide fighting as they try to make that happen. Some great runs through. Sparks, by the way, in 4th, and Kamikaze, what great damage limitation late this is to get to 5th.
Yeah, incredible racing. I must admit, the shining driver of this race has been Matt 212. I don't think he has much prior oval experience, and that is just an incredible result of just consistency. And you can see across the line there, a lot of cars just getting it wrong. That's Aiden Pohl facing the wrong way, and it was Nick, though thankfully on the 4 wheels. But yeah, I think that's Encephalosis deciding to go flat out. But yeah, I think just a lot of drivers, Kamikaze making his way up to P5, incredible stuff, as we've still got drivers pacing their way. They've got a lot of overfuel, and they're making the use of it. No donuts being seen, though, so we need to see some donuts. Come on, drivers, if you can hear us, let's light up those tyres.
We missed them. Brendan Hyperstar, your winner. Got a few doughies in, and I think if he's got enough fuel, he'll try and do a few more out there, as he's got himself everything he wants to, just gets the clearance that he's needed. He'll come back into line, and of course, winning here in the Nevada desert is a huge one for him, especially as he walks into racing action as favourite soon to go and be what he needs, which is the best. We'll get the chance, actually, at this moment to run through results, and once we do, we'll get a chance to chat with Brendan after all of this. But I5G will have the biggest smiles. Brendan Hyperstar picks up the win. Blueberry will take second, just unable to make anything work, as Matt 212 would finish off in 3rd place. Sparks will take points off of Kamikaze, but not much, as Kamikaze works away back after taking tyres to finish off in 5th. Miguel Campo will be 6th, with Aerotech in 7th, as Nick Pakin is 8th, and Cephalosis 9th, and Aiden Pohl would round out your top 10. In 11th, it would be TK ahead of Chesnoy Gaming. Super Noodle Bagel would be 13th ahead of Killer Cleo. Rhino 83 has always been up there in the races, but can't get the results down in 15th, and B-Roy, the only retiree, 7 laps away from the end of racing. We are going to take this chance then to bring in Brendan Hyperstar, who picks up the race win and does so from pole position. Brendan, I don't think that tells you the story of the whole race here today, because you did have to work hard, but running from the front, a little easier here at Las Vegas compared to a couple other tracks.
The track temp helped. I'm not really experienced in running next gen, so like non-super speedway races, so I don't I know it looked easy, but it was definitely not, especially trying to save tires. So I want to thank Nate Steer for pointing out the obvious. I was killing my tires, and I probably owe him a consulting fee, probably double the $32,000 he initially suggested. So I want to thank him for telling me to do one little thing, back up my corners. That's all I got to do with this car, really.
Yeah, so how much advantage did that give you once you'd figured that out, that you needed to save everything? And we noticed that you were closing the door on a lot of attempts to overtake you. You seem to have the strategy sorted out at that point.
Yeah, with the last build, not this current build, but the build from last season basically made the next gen pretty close to how it handles in real life, and that involves a lot of aero blocking. So you can really lose the nose and exit. So I would kind of run it high and kind of cover a high entry, and then I would dive it down low so they would feel it off. And then feeling it off is obviously the worst of the racetrack, because if I carry more speed off, there's no chance to ever have an overtake.
In the middle of an iRacing week 13, Brendan, how much difference did you have in terms of the early weeks practice compared to the late weeks practice?
I didn't practice till today, honestly.
Fair play.
I looked too much at the standings. I'm like, oh, I should not be getting like, I wasn't actually like mad, but like, I am a competitive person, right? Like I've been in Pro Series, like I'm just a competitive person in general, but like I just decided just to have more fun this week, and I'm honestly sure it helped me. I think you can over practice. Not that like I was running like hundreds and hundreds of laps before, but if you just kind of take it easy and not let it get in your head, racing goes a lot easier in my opinion.
So the desire to race is there, and we've got these special events, the Creator Series Indy 500 up next. What's your thoughts on that? We know that you really want to get that one.
I do, but there's some people who don't. I I was at Sim Gaming Expo over the weekend, and someone explained to me there's a literal conspiracy to prevent me from winning. There's like an alliance to end the Hyperstar and Team i5G. I'm being told I will not win this race. We'll see if they can do it, but I'm pretty confident I can at least win. But it's a community event too, so there'll be a lot of fast people in my community where it's not going to be, it's never easy to win a 500-mile race. So I'm not going to take that for granted. I'm gonna. I told my chat like I'll have like my fuel chart out that we have for our 500. So if like a caution comes out like lap 96, I'll know exactly like what strat I want to do. So it is like I am the person in that field with the most experience at that track, going back like literally like 13, like 11, 12 Indy 500s on iRacing, going back to the IRO5, that lead sled of a car. So I'm pretty decent in the IR18 there, and we'll see if I can do it, but it won't be easy, and it's going to be a lot of fun though too.
We've seen the prowess of i5G when it comes to Indy 500s. Brendan Hyperstar there joining us and picking up the race win here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Thank you.
Brendan Hyperstar there joining us, having a good run. We're also going to get to chat with the fastest doggo in all of sim racing, Blueberry, in second position. Blueberry, my first point of call to go to, how important was it to have Parker White spotting you today?
Oh my god, it was awesome. It was quite important. I think he really helped me with the game sense and like walking me through like the more nuanced details of oval racing that maybe slipped me as like a not super high rated driver.
How much improvement did that give you throughout the race? We noticed you were already making the moves about 10 laps in, and then just toward the end of the race, challenging for the lead.
Definitely more of the like when to switch lines was really helpful with him, because like I don't really have that game sense to like figure that out right in the moment, so I'm usually pretty late or I just don't notice that. But yeah, he was really helpful, and I'm thankful to him for that.
The pace certainly seemed to be up there for you today, Blueberry, especially as it looked like you just didn't have enough drive to make it happen against Brennan, who'd been running at the front for the majority of the race.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. It's disappointing, but you know, I think I did a really good job.
So, the question on everybody's mind is, how is your pace for, say, an Indy 500, perchance?
We'll have to wait and see.
Well, we certainly will, but Blueberry, by my mathematics, you now jump into the top 10 of the championship. How important is that for you, knowing that you've walked in halfway through the season, you've really taken like a duck to water here in terms of this championship?
It's pretty exciting that I'm in the top 10. You know, I don't really care too much about the standings, because yeah, I feel like I keep getting told this isn't supposed to be taken super seriously, and so I'm trying to like get with the program a little bit.
Well, taken super seriously into the wall for a lot of drivers this time out. Hopefully it won't be the same next week, although I'm sure it will. It's oval racing, but you certainly seem to enjoy yourself, and I must say the improvement of the lines throughout the race, it was remarkable to see you just challenging and just putting other drivers into difficulty. So yeah, I think a lot of room for optimism for next week.
Thank you.
And there you have it. Blueberry there joining us, picking up a second place overall here today. John, Las Vegas is known as Sin City. It's also one of the few cities that, quote unquote, never sleeps. But unfortunately, we are going to have to put this show to bed because we have got ourselves a trip over to 16th Street and Georgetown Road. Next time we are with you, it's a full Indy 500 with the Creator Series, and the Creator Series adding what is the second leg of their Triple Crown.
Oh yes, and the one, as Brendan said, that everybody wants to win, and they will be scheming, conniving, and figuring up strategies to make sure that other people are taken out of the race, figuratively or literally. It remains to be seen. You'll have to tune in next week. It is a Creator Series event, so you will expect some shenanigans between drivers. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see whether people like Kamikaze and Sparks can find that pace that they've had all season, and whether Brendan Hyperstar can continue that awesome form of pace and run, and whether he can outrun all of the shenanigans that are going to take place surrounding him, let's put it that way.
I want to give a massive thanks to the team that's brought this show over to you today. From John Isamusing Harris, from Gareth Allen, who has been behind the scenes. My name has been Jake Sperry. It's all about putting the championship to one side next week. But today, Sparks did a good enough job to pick up some points, but Kamikaze did more than enough to keep the championship firmly in his back pocket. It's all about momentum and building up control. And the best oval driver in the field, some would say, is Brendan Hyperstar. He picks up his win here today at Las Vegas, but critically, he goes in as the odds-on favorite to Speedway, Indiana. We head to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Who will walk out of the Creator Series, kissing the virtual yard of bricks, drinking their glass of milk, and saying they are a Creator Series 500 champion? We'll see you in 7 days, where 500 miles will decide the best creator ever when it comes to IndyCar style racing.